You're listening to Boobies and Newbies. Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome to a special holiday edition of Boobies and Newbies, the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box and brave the unbridled world of erotica. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds, and today's romance review marks the 7th episode in Boobies and Newbies' annual holiday special, The 12 Days of Boobsmas. That's right, we are officially on to the second half of this year's Boobsmas festivities, and I hope everybody is enjoying them thus far. For the 7th day of Boobsmas, we are celebrating some of the finest things Boobsmas has to offer: small town Christmas festivities, horny lumberjack fantasies, and of course, a staple of every small town holiday romance, the gazebo. So button those flannels and get ready, because there's still plenty more Boobsmas heading your way this December. You can always catch up on the first half of the 12 Days of Boobsmas on your favorite podcast platform or on our website, boobiesandnewbies.com. At this time, we've just about wrapped up our Boobsmas giveaways, but the best way to keep up with the last couple of giveaways, as well as any of our upcoming episodes and news, is to follow us across the social channels at Boobies Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, as well as the artist formerly known as Twitter. You will also find me at Real Kelly Ray on TikTok, because TikTok doesn't like me using the word boobies. I'm going to take a quick moment to shamelessly plug my holiday romances, Meet Me in Los Feliz and Venice Actually, both of which are available in Kindle Unlimited now. And not to be that person, but if you feel like making this podcaster's holidays a little merrier, you might consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can also join the Boobies and Newbies Patreon family for as little as $1 a month and have instant access to bonus podcast clips, our monthly Boobies Unlimited book club, and so much more. As always, you will find links for all of the above in today's show notes, as well as on our website. But now, it's on to today's Boobsmas extravaganza. Joining me today for the 7th day of Boobsmas is childhood friend turned all-star fat positivity influencer Caroline. When we reconnected on TikTok earlier this year, I just knew I had to get her on an episode of Boobies and Newbies. And naturally, when one of my author friends and faves, Leonor Solis, came out with a Christmas novella featuring a feisty plus-size queen, I knew I'd found the perfect pick for Caroline and I. Welcome, Caroline.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. And just to get it out of the way, my mom says hi.
I love your mom. I have a lot of standout teachers from our elementary school, and I never even had your mom, but she's up in the top, 3.
She is that woman, by the way. I feel like a lot of people will understand this because they probably have that teacher in their lives too. Like, that people just know them even if they never had them.
Yeah, she was a community pillar for sure.
I agree.
And I'm sure still is.
Yeah, I mean, she's retired now, so every day I wonder, what are they doing without her? Like, how will life go on without her there? But you know what? She's still that woman. She's still that teacher, because she still goes over to that school all the time to, like, I don't know, judge Halloween contests or whatever.
I'm not even one little bit surprised by that, and I love to hear it.
Yeah. She'll probably be that person up until her 90s, which honestly, that's fine. Like, keep her busy. That's fine by me. Well, I am super excited to have you here. And before we talk about romance, I want to just shower you with compliments and talk about all the things that you do on your platform, because it's a lot. I love your dance videos. I love the clips of you doing burlesque, and specifically, and I say this as somebody who included a Jack Black shout out in my latest novella, I just about died, in the best way, when I saw you doing some School of Rock burlesque.
I think, and it's really hard because my debut number was to Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain.
Yes.
And that was like the best feeling in my life. But I think School of Rock has since topped that. Like, I've never felt more myself than like cosplaying Jack Black, but also getting naked on stage.
Oh, a great combination, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think of all people, Jack Black would be very proud. Like, I think there's a lot of love in the world for Jack Black because he just seems like somebody that would give you the best fucking hug of your life. But
Yeah.
I don't know if he's seen it, but I think he needs to know that there is burlesque out there inspired by him.
Absolutely. I hold it in my heart and soul that somehow it has graced his feet at some point. Or will.
I think, yeah, I think I tagged him in it, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. So I hope at some point, if it hasn't already happened, he does get to see that, because what an honor. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you do? I know I follow you on TikTok and Instagram. I'm not sure where else you are, but yeah, sing your own praises.
Yeah, hi. I'm Caroline, just me and my mirror on the internet. I do fat positive content, just in the form of like spreading fat joy is really how I feel like it has turned out. I do a lot of dancing, a lot of movement. I love fashion and style and building outfits, so that's another thing I like to share. I've been trying to be a little bit intentional about sharing my little fat love life. I have a wonderful partner and am learning, I think for the first time, like what it feels like to be loved wholly as a whole person.
Aww.
In a romantic way. Of course, I've got a ton of love in my life. But yeah, this is like the first real full whole romance I've experienced. Yeah, I'm on Instagram and TikTok primarily. And then I'm sprinkled everywhere else on the internet. So Pinterest, I'm like not super consistent. I'm trying the Patreon, but good grief, I am not consistent.
I'm not
really
either.
bad.
And I know I just advertised to everybody to join our Patreon, and truly I hope you do. And honestly, maybe if I had more people in my Patreon group, I would be more excited and more intentional with it. But I feel like every year I apologize to my Patreon subscribers and just say, I want to do more. I what do you want from me? But like in a good way.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've got just a good little handful of them on there. But the fact that they pay monthly makes me feel like there should be monthly content. But really the way my brain and body works is like, I'm a quarterly kind of gal. You're going to get a dump of things, a lot of things. Like, but only every 3-ish months.
But then it's all at once, you know?
Yes.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like binging your favorite show on TV.
Yeah,
like, you don't have to spread it out every week. You
Exactly.
could just watch it all in one weekend.
Yeah. I just did like 7 posts. I worked on them for like 2.5 months and then waited forever to post them because I was like, I should advertise this. And then I dumped them. And then I have not done anything since. And that, I think I posted them like, I don't know, in like the beginning of September. So like, it's about time I get going on my big
quarter
collection again. Yeah.
Yeah. The end of year quarter. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I think maybe if I can just like put that in the description, the guilt can be shaken away, and then we can just have like a fun Patreon. I don't know.
It's a lot of pressure to like have to feel like you have to be posting not only constantly, but also across all the platforms.
Yeah.
And anybody who has any kind of platform, and I mean, whether that means you have a few hundred followers or, you know, a few 100,000 followers, you know that the followers on certain platforms are also very different in what they want and what they're looking for versus, you know, another platform. So it's not only having to create the same content across platforms, but having to tailor it in a way that it appeals to that specific group of followers on that specific platform. So it's a lot. All that to say, just like to anybody out there, don't feel like you have to do it all 24/7 because it's just not, it's not worth it.
You're going to burn out. You're going to burn out.
Yeah. And then you won't be
just
doing
like
any of it.
Post what feels good. Post what feels good.
Yes, I agree. Good things. I feel like this whole season of Boobsmas, we've all walked away every episode with like a new thing to add to the list of better, healthier ways to live 2024. And a lot of it has to do with making sure that you're okay before you're doing anything else for other people.
Fill your own cup first.
Yes.
Can't pour from the empty one. I love that. I'm going to have to listen to every single episode because I need that list of tips.
Fantastic. Yeah. Hopefully by the end of the 12 Days of Boobsmas, we'll have this whole list of ideas for people to take into 2024 with them. Or at least people being me. Really, I'm doing this for selfish reasons. I need this for myself. Reminders for myself.
I'm with you.
Well, obviously, I hope everybody takes the time to go follow Caroline. And truly, if you're on TikTok or Instagram, it is well worth the follow because she posts some great content. Ren Fair, that was like some of the latest. I've loved the Ren Fair material. That's great.
Our favorite event of the year.
Well, you guys do it up right. Like, go you.
Thank you. Thanks. It doesn't always feel like that when you go to the Ren Fair and you see people who have like full suits of armor and like crazy fairy wings. And I'm like, damn, like we're really just scratching the surface. But then I look at like what I wore to Ren Fair in like 2016, which was like a skirt. And I'm like, okay, no. We're like fully doing it. Like,
the way that I justify it in my mind is some people have better storage at their homes than others.
Wow, I'm locking that one in because that's a great justification. We are maxed out on our storage.
Yeah, like it's the same reason why I want to buy a lot of Christmas decorations and like seasonal. I would love to be that person that has seasonal plates. Like I think that'll be like peak richness is when I have seasonal plates. Like when I do that, I've made it. Like that's it. We've made it. And but I have nowhere to put the plates, so I can't.
I think because we moved so frequently and then, you go to college and you have to move every year.
Right.
I've gotten so good at like cleaning shit out. Like we don't have any extra of anything, which sometimes is an issue, but like I'm just good at like donating, like recycling, and then if I have to, like throwing shit away because we don't have the room for it. And my partner is a sweet little collector of things, so I've got to be good at it for the both of us.
Not hoarder, collector.
It's not hoarding.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you, especially if you have moved to like a certain amount. And I've lived in like 5 different cities in the last 10 years. And you really do learn to keep what's only necessary or very important to you to fill your car. And like, that's it. And so it is weird when you kind of find a spot that you're like, oh, I think I want to stick around here a little bit. And that means maybe buying furniture that I like and buying, stuff to put on walls that will use a nail to go on the wall and not just peel and stick.
We're in that house right now. Yeah. For sure.
Well, cheers to that. I am excited for, whatever comes up next for both of us, but
absolutely. Let's
start with romance, shall we?
Yeah.
So today's reading selection is Under the Meh-stletoe. I have to like take a little pause because, there's the dash in between. Meh-stletoe by Leonore Solis, and it was published in November 2023. It's available on Amazon for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. And as I mentioned, and I like to disclose, Leonore is actually a pretty good friend. We've sort of had very similar author trajectories. I think we started writing and publishing around the same time, and we both write fierce fat ladies. So it's been really fun to just kind of get to know her as well as her book. So I'm excited that we're talking about this one. I'm going to go ahead and give everybody the synopsis and then we will jump into things. So here once again is Under the Meh-stletoe. Planning my hometown's annual Christmas celebrations is bad enough. Having to do it with a hard-to-resist grump is even worse. When my injured sister guilt trips me into organizing the town's holiday celebrations, only a week after moving back home, All I want to do is survive the season, nurse my bruised heart, and start my life over. Now I have to co-chair a Christmas committee with a grouchy man I've never met. He has sexy curls, intense eyes that make it clear he craves my curves, and he dares look hot chopping down trees. He even likes it when I make fun of him. Grumps, like him, are my weakness. But I can't be interested. Who cares if we bond over our disdain of the holiday nonsense around us? Who cares if we share private jokes or engage in benign Christmas-related vandalism? Or even if we share a kiss or two? I need time to be single and settle back into small-town living, not the distraction of an infatuation. That almost rhymed. I feel like it rhymed in my head, and then when I read it out loud, not so much, but I do appreciate that. Except there may be more between us than a few rushed moments, and mistletoe won't let me forget it. I love it. Well, okay, first of all, I have to ask, I know you and I were talking a little bit about audiobooks before we got started with the podcast, but what is your experience with reading romance?
It's so new.
Okay. An honest-to-God newbies.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I'm so new. So this past year, I've been doing the book challenge of how many books I want to read per year.
Yeah.
And so I texted a handful of my closest people and I was like, recommend me your best book, your most entertaining
Okay.
book. And I told them what I'm usually interested in. And I just made a list and didn't look into any of the books, just whatever was available on Libby to listen to. I would just listen to it. So I didn't even know. I didn't even know when I was stumbling into a romance novel. I think one of the first ones was an Emily Henry something. I don't know.
Okay. I feel like if you're going to do a new introduction to romance, that's a good place to start because Emily Henry's are a little more borderline romance meets women's fiction. So a great introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, I don't feel like I'm turning into a romance fan.
That's okay.
Something about it isn't for me, but I have enjoyed listening to them and kind of dissecting what I like about it, what I don't. But the Emily Henry one I think was good because it felt like a mystery. I'm trying to remember what book it even was. But yeah, it was a good start. And then so since then I've listened to maybe 5 and really ranging. I listened to a different plus size one, which I'm not sure I'm going to be able to remember. Man, I should have looked more into these before I came on here. But I listened to another plus size one and I listened to some fantasy ones, obviously the first book of ACOTAR. So I feel like I've gotten a good taste of them and
sure.
I'm not writing them off, but I'm not sucked in yet.
Well, and I will tell you the same thing I tell everybody who is a true newbie to romance when they come on this podcast. And that is, there is something for every romance reader. If you are oh, I don't want it to be a cookie cutter Hallmark story. That's fine. You can find something that is not that. You can find fantasy. You can find aliens. You can find a woman who wants to fuck her door. There are so many
I've heard of that book.
See, you're on TikTok. So
I'm on TikTok. And I did somehow end up on romance novel TikTok, heavy
it's because
for a
you
while
follow
there.
me. That has to be it.
Yeah. And I'm definitely liking and saving your posts, so.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, no, there definitely is a little something for everybody. And I know that when I first started reading romance, which would have been over a decade ago at this point, I didn't know where to start. I just went to the library and I didn't realize indie romance, self-published romance was a thing.
Yeah, right.
I will say at this point, I read almost primarily self-published.
Yeah. I think that's what I would like better anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot less rules to kind of follow or adhere to. That's not to say that there aren't some great, traditionally published romance novels out there, because there are.
Right.
Well, how exciting. And now, is this your first holiday romance?
It is my first holiday romance. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, let's start with what'd you think? What'd you like about the book?
There is a lot I liked about the book. I liked that it felt very casual and natural. Like
Yes.
it just kind of like I was never in so many romance novels I've read, the 5
All
that I've
5
read.
of them.
In a lot of the romance novels I have read, there are like jarring moments where I feel like I am sucked out of the story because of the way they want to write romance in, which is just like really explicit, like and not explicit like sexy sexual, but like just explicit about the things they really like about the other, the lead people. And like I don't love that because I have these pictures of these people in my mind, and
Got it.
I like the imagination to be able to take it. And I think this book did such a good job at like definitely having some identifying features in there that helped build the portrait, but then let me run with that.
Right.
I love that both characters were soft.
My like sexcerpt that I highlighted a couple, neither of which are like sex scenes, but like one of them
Yeah.
is like a precursor. But I love the way that Leonore, but also the main character, Ale, I love the way that she describes him having a soft tummy. Like anytime she's talking about his
Yes.
body and she's like, oh, and he has, she doesn't describe him as chiseled. She doesn't describe him as having a 6-pack or anything
Right.
like that. It's, oh, he has this curve of his cute little tummy. And I just,
Yeah.
and I love that. And that's one of the things I love about Leonore's books is that she never shies away from talking about roles, from talking about like a muffin top. Like she definitely is like, oh yeah, no, they touch these parts and they're comfortable with these parts. And because this is just part of their bodies.
I will say something else I actually adored about this story was that it wasn't like they're attracted to me and that's shocking. Like I think in a
Right.
lot of plus size books it's like he's the only one who could see that I was worthwhile, and it's like
He loves me
no.
in spite of me being fat, or like
Yeah.
he sees the real me underneath
Right.
me being fat.
No.
No, and that's, I love to say that I think plus size romance is moving away from that. So I'm
Thank
very
God.
thankful for that.
Yeah, because there was like a line where she was like, this other guy's flirting with her, and
Mhm.
her sister is like, you could have anybody you want. And it's like, obviously,
Right.
like, of course. Like, I was just so glad to have that in writing,
Yes. I'm done with the fat, funny friend character.
Yeah.
I just want her to be fat, funny, and, sexy as hell. Like, I mean,
Fat,
like,
funny
there's
main character,
Right.
like, yeah.
main character energy.
I'm a friend to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
but also I have my own story. Yeah.
They can be my friend. I'm the main character. They can
Exactly.
be the friend. Yeah. No,
Exactly.
I'm with you on that. I really liked that. Also, side note for anybody listening, as well as for you, Caroline, just in case you don't know it already, Leonore designs all the covers of her books. So that beautiful illustrated drawing, that's her.
Wow. I love that so much.
I hate how talented she is. It really makes me angry. Like, I know a few authors who do this, who design covers of their own books, and I just, like, writing isn't enough. Like, you have to also be an artist. It's not fair.
Oh, and her hair is so cute. Oh, this is fun. I'm going to look at it right now to like really give it the time it deserves.
Yeah, I'm a fan. The other thing that I really love about this book that you don't see in, I would say, a lot of holiday romance in general is that both of them don't give a shit about Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. I think it gave a really different flavor to the story, which was nice. That was just like they were kind of in it together. And so it didn't have so many of like the tropey like holiday things. It was more like cute and creative ways to
because when we
paint a different story.
When we first met Ale, I was like, oh, maybe she's the grump in this story, because so often we hear the trope pairing of like grumpy sunshine, where one of them is like the grumpier grouchy, or in Christmas case, Scrooge side of the relationship, and one of them is happy-go-lucky, so excited. And then we find out that Daniel, is also very grumpy and grouchy. And so I kind of loved that they both were just like, it's not that we're mean, we just don't really care. Like we have other things that we'd rather be doing. We both are like not in the market for relationships. We're both not really up for all this like holiday cheer bullshit. Like we just don't, like, there's a whole conversation they have about like consumerism, which I'm like, great.
Right.
Love that.
Well, and to go back to like the realistic feeling this book gives is like they both had like very valid motivations for being into this holiday like orchestration of the town. Like he's like trying to make the town like profitable and like successful and like thriving, and like she's taking over for her sister, which is like a huge favor. I don't know, I just felt like it was very natural. There was no I could fix you vibe going on. It's just like, oh, we like clearly have chemistry. Neither of us feel like we're in a place to pursue it. And then I don't know, are we giving spoilers? Like,
oh yeah, do it.
Obviously
Spoil
very
away.
quickly flips right away, and it's like, oh, 2 days later they're like, actually, let's try this.
Well, and honestly, it's one of the most romantic lines in the book to me, where I forget if it's him who says it or her who says it, and really it would make sense of it being either one, but they say, I, thought I wanted to be alone, but I think I'd be okay being alone together. Like that we could be together, but, just sit in comfortability of being alone away from everybody else together. And honestly, that's my dream. Like I love being at home. I love not having to go anywhere. And if you could do that with somebody, even better.
I'm going to tell you, that's what I've got. And it is so good. It's so good. The house we're in right now, we could definitely do with one more room because we literally never have any privacy at all. So like it would be nice to get some time actually alone. But no, like that was one of my favorite things about Alex when we first met, is like my energy is not depleted by being around you at all. And I think it's like vice versa.
And that says a lot, like
good.
Whether you're extroverted or introverted, like, because I know I love seeing people or like hosting people, but even if I'm hosting my best friend for like a few days, that takes it out of you and everything. And so for it to be that you can live with somebody all the time in such close proximity and never feel like your energy is being depleted, that's high praise.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's been amazing. There was one single weekend where him and his brother who lives with us were out of town, and I had the house to myself, and I was like, oh my, what's going on here? This is so amazing. Like, it's not that I needed it, but that it was such a treat to like be completely, I was like, wow, I don't remember what this feels like, because it's felt so natural to just like be together.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, there's another line later in the book where I think this is kind of when they confront their feelings and like decide that they do want to move forward. He says, fuck's sake, Ale, say yes to being with me. We can be cranky together, then laugh about it, because with you, I want to. And, I'm sorry, that's delightful. Like I love, and I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea when it comes to reading romance, nor would I expect it to be that everybody wants to read exactly the same thing. I love reading a book like this because, like you said, it feels very real. It feels very natural. They, she just went through a breakup and moved home, and he moved somewhere away from everybody else, thinking, oh, you know what? This is great. I'll just live on my own, have a small community of people I like, and, rebuild this community to bring more people here. And yet they kind of, stumbled into this thing that neither of them were planning, but they're both like a little nervous about it at the same time because they don't want to, it's going against the plans that they thought they had for themselves.
Right.
And that's such a real thing.
Exactly. Like, I know we've already said it a bunch, but like, I just feel like the story, it didn't have any crazy twist or anything. Like, it was just like a really sweet slice of life that I could see myself in. And I think that is sometimes my issue with romance, is like I can't see myself in it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's full fantasy, you know? And like, but this is definitely something that I felt I related to in a lot of different ways, which was super nice. And then like had some really fun tension and like some hot
Yeah.
scenes, which like definitely make me blush really hard. And like, I'm like, oh my God, can people hear what I'm listening to? But no, I just thought it was a really enjoyable read.
I agree. I've read her books before, and I've very much enjoyed them. And, you know I mentioned it before. She writes a lot of queer characters as well in her books, and there's always feisty fat women and sometimes men too, which is great. And that's actually something I would love to see more of now that we are getting a lot more plus size rep in romance. I would love to see the same principles applied to male characters as well in romance.
Yeah.
But again, something to take into 2024. We'll manifest it into happening.
I would love to touch on that because I feel like in life, like fat men are like way more often like in love, in romances. Like I feel like it's less taboo, but you're right, in romance, like it is only six pack, only chiseled jaw, only like the hottest man you've ever thought of.
It's true.
And like broken and private.
And you know what? I've talked about this. That's true. They're very broody and just keep to themselves.
Yeah.
But I've talked about this with other plus size authors, and I do understand the reasoning behind it, being that a lot of them have wanted to create relationships between, incredible, beautiful, fat women and the men who wouldn't necessarily be society's idea of who they would be paired with. That they wouldn't necessarily think of this incredible looking, like Chris Hemsworth like dude. Not to say that we don't have those pairings in real life, but that it's never something that we see. And actually, you know what it makes me think of, speaking of TikTok, is I love and follow Alicia and her husband Scott. And I just think of how much shit she is constantly getting on the internet because she is, by the way, one of the most gorgeous plus size women I've ever seen.
Like absolutely beautiful.
But she happens to be with a straight sized male partner who, is by all intents and purposes what we would probably think of as traditionally masculine beauty.
Absolutely.
And he loves that woman, and you see it in every video that they make, and yet you have people criticizing their relationship. And I think that's why a lot of people have written plus size romance to be between a plus size woman and a straight sized man. However, this is also a criticism that I have of plus size romance, is that I would like to see fat people falling in love with fat people. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
No, and I actually think I'm not going to say I think I personally have had like quite a time like deconstructing my own internalized fat phobia.
Oh, sure.
And like when I entered the dating world, like I think so much of my dating was about social capital. And so like I was definitely only looking at the hottest, most like attractive men, and then was getting treated like shit by those men, but also like bragging about having like been with those men, to be like, look who I snagged. So like I do think diversifying the relationships we see would be amazing.
Yeah.
I want to see like fat women with fat women.
Oh,
in books.
Absolutely.
And like, like I want to see all of it. Like, I just think having everything at our fingertips and like good representations of all of it would then like help open like my own views of what love can look like.
Yeah.
So.
And actually, now that you mention it, I don't think I've ever read a sapphic story with two fat women. That's not to say that it's not out there, but I don't think I've read
it's
one.
Out there.
Like, and I don't think I've really seen any, like at least in my personal, feeds and everything. So damn, I would love to read that.
Yeah. Well, I've read 5, and my only queer story so far was red, white, and royal blue.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is hard to say.
I know. this is a much longer conversation that we could have, but I think, and this is not to shade the people on Book Talk, because I get a lot of recommendations from Book Talk, and I love my personal sphere of Book Talk, but I think there's a very different market of romance that is being marketed to people finding romance for the first time on Book Talk versus anywhere else. Like, I really do think it's very, very different. And I caution people, I don't want to steer people away from it, because obviously I want them to, you know, find the genre and find what works for them. But I do have hesitations about if those are the only romance books that you're being exposed to, are the 6 to 7, you know, popular ones that you're seeing regurgitated on every big Book Talker's page. To me, that is not an accurate representation of what the romance genre is.
Yeah. And I've talked a little bit about this on like Instagram and TikTok, and like was just talking about my experience reading romance novels. And when I put like a little question box, I don't even remember the question I asked, but the responses I got, everybody was like, keep digging.
Yes.
There are so many good ones out there. Like, try all the different things, you know, like get into like queer stories, like get into like weird niches, and like,
aliens,
the lesser known books, which I don't know, like that's what I thought I was getting into with ACOTAR. Like, I love fantasy, I love fairies, but like it's not that. Like, that was still just like your no offense.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about it, but it's not my cup of tea either.
Yeah, it was just like still just like the sexiest man alive and the tiniest little lady, and like I was looking for like, I don't know, fairy orgies in the meadow. Like, I don't know.
We'll talk after the podcast. We'll find you what you need to get. But yes, no, I am in full agreement with the people sending you messages to keep digging. And honestly, you you surround yourself with the right group of people and find the right, you know, bookstagrammers and book talkers and booktubers to follow, and you will find what you're looking for. You just have to find that one or two person circle that's going to, well, it's not really a circle then, is it? It's a line. But to just kind of like bring you in, and then you will find the people who follow them and the people that they follow, and it just keeps going. So back to this book, I will say, especially as we dive into maybe some sexcerpts here in a moment, I think this is a good book for people who want to read a quickie holiday novella, and it is on the shorter side.
Yeah, definitely.
But don't want too much holidayness to it, because even though this town does have a lot of festivities happening, there's like a cookie contest. They can't find somebody to dress up like Santa, and then eventually, obviously, Daniel steps in. I don't think, though, it's too much Christmas content. Like, it felt very much
Not
like
at all.
We would talk about the things that were going to happen, and then when we got to the event, it was like a paragraph or two and we out. So yeah, I think this is good for the people who aren't as into all the Christmas vibes.
Yeah, because you brought it up, I didn't have this in my brain, but something that did like tickle my brain a little bit was when Ale was in like the sexy little elf outfit. Like that to me, I was like, oh, I love this, that she's like kind of like being admired and like this little sexy outfit, and like I just thought that was so cute. And but like she kind of hates being in it, and like what a fun feeling.
In fact, I did highlight a piece of that because I loved the way that she described like ogling him, and it's like when he's like chopping a tree down, which by the way is like a very stimulating scene, and then he's ogling her in this elf costume that she thinks is ridiculous, and he's like, damn dat ass though. And
as someone who hates Christmas too, he doesn't even like it, and he's just like, but it's such a fun abnormal outfit to be in that it's cute and sexy.
Here's the way a little excerpt of when he describes her, which I think is delightful. He says, I gazed at her shapely, full legs in white and red striped tights, her forest green little dress with a skirt that somehow both highlighted her thick thighs and her plush ass, and a ridiculous red-green hat combo that clashed with her fun hair. And it made me want to devour her. Yes,
Yeah.
eat it up. And on that note, did you have any sexcerpts or steamy moments you wanted to highlight? If not, I've got like 4.
I was going to say, I think because I had this read out loud to me by Alexa because I'm an audiobook person. So I had a hard time going back trying to find like the spots maybe I wanted to read. But you definitely nailed at least one of them. I want to hear the lumberjack scene again.
Oh my God. And let me tell you, this comes in at, on my Kindle, 27% of the way into the book. They have by no means kissed, flirted, like anything at this point, but he's just like, come on, get in my truck. We're going to go chop down a tree. And it's like the one thing I like doing because I get to swing an axe and like take out all my aggression on this tree. And then the way that she writes the scene where he is like talking to Ale while also like huffing out his breath and grunting in between is just, it's a lot. And I like it. Like, it's a lot in the best way. So
Yeah.
it's really funny though, because I'm going to read it to you and it's just going to sound like he's complaining, but then it's mixed with his like grunting while he chops the tree. So, okay, here we go. He grabbed the axe, swung it a few times to further warm up his muscles, and started on a rant instead. It's like everyone else in this town. With no warning, he swung the axe at the trunk in front of him. The whole tree shivered, and so did I. I chose Laguna Island carefully. He pulled the axe back and swung it again, letting out a groan. The state of the town meant great housing options. He released the axe, huffed, and swung again. And great long-term affordability. He repeated the motion, freeing the axe, swinging it again, and grunting. The tree continued to tremble. My legs continued to weaken, and he continued his tirade amid all his hard breathing. Seemed competence porn was a turn-on these days for me. I bit my lip and hoped for a reprieve. There's more. I get to Laguna Island, a shiny job that would let me grow roots while helping strengthen a better future for all of us. And then he just like keeps talking. He kept hacking at the tree in a hypnotizing rhythm. So who cares? Grunt. If I'm a little cranky, hard breathing, because getting the town in order, groan. It's going to be harder, huff, than expected.
This reminds me so much of this time. My friend came to visit me in Europe and we were in this bar and our bartender had the sexiest hands we had ever seen in our lives. I don't know what it was. He had amazing hands. He was Welsh. He had a little accent.
Oh,
and he was talking about normal things and her and I were like,
well, and the accent, I mean, the accent alone, like, makes a huge difference. And then you pair it with, like, probably watching him, like, mix drinks with his sexy hands. And
leans on the counter, you know, and we were just like,
push up the arm sleeves.
He's having a totally normal, he's having a totally normal experience. And we were like,
what those hands do. Yeah, I get it. It's so funny. What does it, you know? But I love this scene because it's definitely written like it's building up to an orgasm. And like even at the end, he's like, he offers for her to chop the rest of the tree down and she's like, no, I'm good. And he's like, that's okay.
You got
I
this.
need the release. And I just was like, yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
The only other scene I had that I wanted to highlight a little bit is when they actually are about to have sex for the first time and they're really like just touching and like caressing each other. I like the way that she talks about their bodies. And I know that we've already said that, but I just wanted to give a little example. So this is Ale talking. I think you should tell me about your feelings some more. I ran my fingers down his sides and followed his lead. I pushed his clothing out of the way and touched him, my hands going up his back as far as I could. I want to be alone. With you. He squirmed on top of me, his weight still on the one elbow, our clothes loosened up between us, giving us access to explore further. Soft stomach to soft stomach, our hands surveyed new territories. I want to put work into a relationship if it's with you. Happy? Now say yes.
Soft stomach to soft stomach is something that I had in my brain notes, for sure.
I mean, it's such a good line. And like we've both said, you've read 5 romance novels. Mm-hmm. I've read probably 5,000. And I could count on one hand the times that authors have mentioned soft stomachs. And usually it's just about one of them. And look, I know I'm guilty of this too, because I wrote, 2 plus size women, one with a short king who's like on the scrawnier side, and one with a Thor-like Adonis. So although I will say I do have a plus size hero planned for 2024. So I am excited about that. But more soft stomachs. I want it all.
Yeah. Something I loved about the sex scene, because there really is only one in the book, is like something that I didn't know I was going to like is it runs parallel to like when in a book or a movie, like when someone pulls out a condom, I'm like, wow, yes, like make it sexy, make it known. But then in this book, it was also talked about like how she needed help, like getting adjusted, like on top of him. And I'm like, that is so real.
Yes.
That is so real. And it felt sexy in the story, which is like when you never see it anywhere or hear it anywhere, that can feel so uncomfortable in the moment when you're like having sex. I just loved that representation of like, oh, it's hot to like kind of help her adjust
and not making a thing out of it. Like, oh, I don't know. Like, no, it's like, I was like on top and he helped me like move, and adjust my body so that we could see the mirror and that I could touch myself better. Like, yes, no, I talk about this all the time. I want messy sex scenes. I want awkward sex scenes. I want sex scenes where they're laughing at themselves, laughing at whatever weird position they're in that just isn't working for them. Like, I want real mess. And because I think that's beautiful. And I want more of it.
You've touched on one that I'm going to ask for specifically everywhere now is like the position that doesn't work.
Right.
Because Lord knows we have all been there. God damn. Put that in your romance novel.
There's not enough of it. I feel like we are starting to get some more like awkward sex scenes in books, which I do appreciate. We are starting to get some more scenes where maybe one of them doesn't orgasm. And it's not like oh no, so I do appreciate, because like we talked about, you want to see everything represented in romance. Like, you want to see every kind of pairing that there could be, or threesome for that matter, because the more that we do it, the more we normalize it, the more we can see representations of ourselves and our relationships and our partners and think, oh, great, I'm not alone in this. Like that there's a strange kind of comfort that comes with that.
And even like coming up with like ideas you had never thought about is like fun to like find through media.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little game for us to play that because my podcast is called Boobies and Newbies, this game is called Tit or Tat. And really it's just this or that with items, things, places, foods mentioned in the book that I'm going to ask you to decide between. So
great.
This will be for you, but also a good way to give a little insight for everybody listening about what you can expect in this book. So we are going to start with coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Sugar cookies or gingerbread cookies?
Gingerbread. Well, ginger snap. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if gingerbread is really, but yeah.
There's like I think of like ginger snap cookies and then like gingerbread like loaf. like a loaf of it, you know, that you like cut.
Oh, see, I was just thinking gingerbread house, and I'm like, I don't
Oh,
want to eat that.
No, that God,
But like
it tastes
ginger
like
snap
cardboard.
cookie is like top tier.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. Reading a book or watching a movie?
Watching a movie. I hate to say that on this podcast.
That's okay. I do both, so believe me, I'm not upset about it. A real Christmas tree or a faux Christmas tree?
Real Christmas tree.
They had some things to say about fake Christmas trees in this book, let me tell you.
Yeah, they did. Shade.
I kind of love it, though. I love that this book is so, like, anti-capitalism, and then also, like, him talking about, do you know how bad it is for the environment for these, like, plastic trees?
Yeah.
It was great. It touched on a lot of things very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Multicolored lights or white lights?
Multicolored.
I am too, but I will say I do like both.
I was going to say, so far on all of these, I'm not judgy about any of them, but I do have a clear opinion or like a clear preference.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the one that's just like the one to send you over the edge. Like, we'll see.
Okay.
Eggnog or peppermint?
Maybe peppermint. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a peppermint person, like through and through. I usually will have one glass of eggnog a year.
I was going to say, I can have like a sip of eggnog and I will love that. But that I only want a sip.
Going caroling or decorating cookies?
I want to do both. It's funny. I also have feelings about like consumerism and Christmas and capitalism and whatever. I was just telling my partner, like, I want to carol so bad, but I don't want the associations that come with caroling. Like, so I'm going to say caroling.
Okay, good one. I took some creative liberties with this one, but I said
absolutely
fucking Santa or getting fucked by Santa's elves.
All right.
We have some elf and Santa action in this book. So I just, you had to do it.
And I'm really taking the question seriously because I like both situations here, I think. But I think I'm going to go with Santa. Big man on campus.
I know. And you know what?
Soft stomach on soft stomach.
Soft stomachs. We have had our fair share of what we call Santa-rotica the past few years. So let me tell you, if you are in the market for some soft stomach on soft stomach action, I can recommend some Santa-rotica to you.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, and honestly, people listening, all you have to do is revisit some of our past episodes of Boobsmas, and it won't take you long to find a couple of those books. White Christmas or Island Tropical Christmas?
White Christmas.
Yeah.
White Christmas.
Okay. And
100%.
I know that you live in a place where it actually probably does snow during the holidays. But it's so funny because I feel like when I talk to people who have lived in like cold climates throughout their lives, sometimes they love that. And sometimes it's, oh, I wish I could be somewhere else and like have like that beach vibe.
I've done the Florida Christmas because my parents lived there while I was in college. And it is amazing to like have the Christmas tree and the lights out while you're at the pool. But I love whatever the magic is that they put in like a classic Christmas with lights and tree and snow and cold and flannel and fire and blanket. That's what I want. I want that.
No, that's the vibe that like I picture when I think winter holidays. But you know, I grew up in California. We don't have that.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We have palm trees.
And you can string lights on those.
And we do. Pop music or rock music?
Rock.
Okay. And last but not least, city or small town?
Small town.
Yeah.
Small town.
Again, something that is very synonymous with holiday romance, generally speaking, is small town romance, which is why I wrote mine to take place in Los Angeles.
Amazing. I was going to say Buddy the Elf had his big city romance.
I know. But apparently the only cities that we can have holiday romance in are New York, maybe Chicago, maybe the occasional LA. But
give me a Philadelphia Christmas story.
That would be, they would boo Santa. They boo Santa.
Yeah.
It happens one time and people will never forget. So well done, you. You have completed the game. And it sounds like a nice, well, speaking of holiday things and festivities, what do you have planned for the upcoming season?
We are gonna go visit Alex's family at his brother's house, which is just a few hours away from us.
Oh, nice.
It's so nice because my family's spread around the country, so we are not super good at getting together around the holidays. So it's fun to be in that family vibe. He's got like
Yeah.
5 siblings, I think, and some
Oh,
nieces and
nice.
nephews, and so it's just super fun. Chaos. We're all crammed into a house that was not meant to fit all of us.
Yes. I'm jealous. Like, that's what I want. Like, I always joke that I need to, like, marry somebody who has, like, a bunch of siblings because, like, I'm an only child. So, like, I've never had that experience.
Oh, wow. I know. I've got 3 sisters. That's
Yeah.
funny for me. But I love, like, last year it was kind of chaos and I was very overstimulated at times in that small house. But I'm really looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah. Do you guys have any like traditions that you've, you know, it could be ones that his family already did that you kind of have adapted to, or have you created any traditions just for the two of you?
So we're actually thinking about starting a new tradition this year.
Love.
Because we love games. So we were thinking about, and we have not moved on this, we've just conceptualized, but we want to make something called the Christmas game. And this year we're thinking about basing it on like Mario Party, but like making it real life and like Christmas themed. And then we were talking about how like that could be like our big project every year, is like coming up with the Christmas game whatever the title of that year's would be.
I love it. Oh, I get it. So it would be like there is a game, but it's different every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah. And get everybody to play it.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, look, I love my family, but I need to like get them going because I am this person. I want to play games. I want to do things. I want to create new traditions, and especially now that all of the quote unquote kids we're all grown up, and none of us, only one of us has a kid of our own. Everybody else is, you know, in their late 20s, early 30s. I want us to create new traditions that we can do where all of us are adults now. And I do kind of want to take a page out of my own book. In Venice, actually, I have the family play Minute to Win It games every Christmas.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to implement that. But I think a game is a great idea to like get everybody together.
And I think if we hand make the game, there's just a higher chance that everybody agrees to play.
Well, because it's so special. You go out of your way to put so much work into it. If they don't play, they're not invited next year, like, as far as I'm concerned.
There's not enough space in the house anyway.
You can't sit with us.
Yeah. Voted off the island. I'm putting your tiki torch out.
Out. Yeah. Well, that sounds like fun. You'll have to let me know if you guys do create the game. Hopefully, just us recording this is a level of accountability for you that you now have to go and make the game.
Yeah, it's on our list of things to actually work on today.
Perfect.
So hopefully I'm going to log right off and go do it.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I can't wait to hear about it. And in the meantime, thank you so much for doing this with me. This is so fun. And I'm happy to add a 6th romance novel to your belt. So
thank you. We're up to 6. I'm ready for 7. I'm ready.
Santa and fairy.
And all his elves. I need all of it.
Yeah, we'll have you at 10 before the end of the year. No problem.
I believe it. I'm ready. My ears are open. My eyes are ready.
Our hearts are full, and they will, or they will be. And without further ado, there's nothing left for us to say except, on the 7th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 7 minutes in heaven.
Woo, 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 woo.
On the 7th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 7 minutes in heaven, 6 billionaires, 5 penis rings, 4 dukes of fucking 3 butt plugs, 2 nipple clamps, and a